I thought it was like a broken leg. I thought you take an x-ray, you see the broken leg, you do your best to fix it. I had no idea how sneaky and arbitrary and subjective it is. It all started extremely subtle. I usually have a really big appetite and I would just get full really easily. And just vague discomfort, and then the symptoms morphed, but they never went away. My stomach made such noises that my husband would go to me, "What did you say?" And I'm like, "It wasn't me, it was my stomach." I guess indigestion, I don't know the difference between indigestion, heartburn, and acid reflux, but I had never had any of those before. But I was definitely experiencing things like that. And then there was about a period of nausea. I lost about 25 pounds. I first went to my internist, asked them to repeat my blood work for my physical, and they said no. We just did it in March, and now it's October, and you were fine. She said, talk to our hematologist, and if she wants to repeat the blood work. And honestly, the hematologist asked me about my lifestyle, and I told her I play tennis regularly, I'm fairly active. She said, well, have you been playing tennis as much as you used to? And I said, no, not as much. And she goes, oh, it must be a loss of muscle mass. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, I lost 20 pounds, or at that time, 15 pounds. Wouldn't I feel it if I lost all that muscle? So then I went to a gastroenterologist. He said, I believe there's really something wrong with you, and we'll get to the bottom of it. He did endoscopies, ultrasound, what's called a Haida scan, which is a gallbladder test. I had colonoscopy. None of it showed up in January and February. And then in April, I did an endoscopy with ultrasound. And that was really being done because they had seen something on my bile duct. But it turns out he couldn't get past my stomach to get to my bile duct. And that's when I found out I had either stomach cancer, primary, or bile duct primary cancer, or possibly very low chances of two separate cancers. They very rarely see, almost never, bile duct cancer go to your stomach or vice versa. That was what led them to think it was possibly even two separate cancers, which is also so rare. But they said that's how rare the type of metastasis that I have is. One of the DNA results that came back was unfortunately a mutant change in what's called CDH1. And that mutant change is very commonly inherited. So they checked for what they call the germline on my mutation to see if it was inherited, and it came back variant of uncertain significance, which basically means that my particular variant has not been studied. So I can't offer my children anything to help them. And it's a terrible thing to think that this is what you're leaving as your legacy, even though I know it's not going to be. And I know it's not my fault, but it doesn't feel good. I'm doing chemotherapy. I would say that compared to what I had always heard about chemotherapy, I would say it's not as bad as I would have expected. My original routine, they thought they were treating me with if it was bile duct cancer that had spread to the stomach. So I did, I think, 3 or 4 cycles of that. But then they took a CAT scan and they showed that it was progression. And when we think of the word progression, we think of something positive, but in the cancer world, progression is negative. They decided to change my regimen to a stomach regimen. That may be it. That led them to believe it was more stomach. So for that, it's been better in the sense that I go every other week, so I get a week of reprieve. And I would say everything is uncomfortable and nothing's unbearable. Right now I'm going through a kind of unique situation that I have a very, very sour taste in my mouth, which you would think would be nothing, but for somebody who lives to eat, it stinks. I've done that 7 times. Next week is my last week because you can't stay on this medication. So after that, I'll have another scan. If the scan shows regression or stability, they'll put me on a partial regimen for this. Then they have what's called a second line of treatment if I have progressed. There really are some positives. I'm not saying that I would dump all these positives in a heartbeat, not be in the situation I'm in, but my marriage has gotten even stronger. My relationship with my sisters, my children are closer. I only need one towel when I get out of the shower because I don't need one for my hair. I'm treated like a queen. My husband doesn't yell at me about anything.